in murder. And this one is, I'm not sure that I understand, but it seems that these stories continue to be more bizarre than ever before. Each of these stories that we've seen become somewhat bizarre, and this one is straight out of Bizarro World. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, for those who maybe were out of town last week, there is a 17-year-old who has been charged with the murder of his father. Some have reported it is his stepfather. Police have clarified he was adopted by Stephen Parker. So
that would make him the father, but not biological father.
Correct.
Yep.
So Stephen Parker's body was found in the backyard of their home on Route 365 last week, and police believe it had been there for about a month. So we had received some information that there was still a lot of activity at the house. So I called over, and state police are confirming that they believe that Austin Parker was still having people over quite frequently to the house. And after he allegedly had killed his father, and his body was in the backyard. So I asked, I said, well, you're saying he was throwing parties at the house afterward? Police stopped short of that. They said the house had kind of become a hangout. He would have people over. He didn't say these were like parties, full-on parties.
So he knew, police are saying that he knew the body was in the backyard, but the people that were coming over did not know.
Right. He didn't share that information, obviously.
Yeah.
So, and that was why police think that's part of the reason maybe the body in this case was discovered, because his friends had become so familiar with the place and so comfortable there that one day they just kind of walked in and he wasn't there, and they got the sense something wasn't right. And so then they ended up calling police, and that's what led to the investigation.
And how did the dogs come into play here?
There's still an official investigation. I believe they're performing basically an animal autopsy, but state police spokesman Jack Keller said they both looked very thin and malnourished.
All right. And then motive, any talk? They don't seem to be telling us what the motive was.
They have not released that. I do believe that Mark Lincoln with the state police did say they had a theory. They believe they know what happened and why it happened, but he wasn't willing to share that.
All right, Andrew.
I'm just amazed that, and I've talked to some people, I say, how do you not smell any kind of odor from the decaying body outside for a month? People say, oh, it's Holland Panton, so they're probably thinking, oh, it's something to do with farming or something, but that's got to be a pretty distinct smell. I mean, it's not like a manure smell.
I'm not sure I really want to go down the road and figure out what it is. It would be, you're right. I don't know, Jeff, how anybody would, but if you're not going out into the backyard, you just wouldn't know it, I guess.
I'm just saying, so Jeff, if you maybe have a better idea about this,
we really
the layout
having
of the
this conversation
house,
of what the...
Well, no, I'm just saying, how does a person's decaying body not go
I don't know.
in some way?
I would just say, it's a rural area, and I mean, if you've ever driven up there, I mean, you smell some things where you're like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah.
It's
there's the
fertilizer,
the amazing the liquid fertilizer that gets poured this time or earlier, mainly in the spring, but later in the summer it happens too. And that wind gets a hold of that. That smell is just it is very difficult. I've heard stories of people saying, "Well, I wash the clothes and put them out on the clothesline. Can't do that anymore because the smell is so bad." It actually you can smell it on the clothing when the clothes are brought back in. Switching gears here, I want to talk just briefly a little bit about the congressional race. We were in heavy with the Republican primary. Claudia Tenney winning really big the Republican primary. She is now the Republican nominee for Congress. She may very well be our next Congresswoman. So she'll be facing this Democrat, Kim Myers, who is the heir of Dick's Sporting Goods. She's a Democrat. Some say pretty liberal. It'll be interesting to see what she has to say and what her views are down the road as the campaign continues on. But then there's a third party in here, and it's really somewhat bizarre as well. And that is the Babnick gentleman from Little Falls.
Yeah, Martin Babnick.
Who is advertising a lot right now and is not in a race, although he did win the Reform Party I think it was 16 votes, so only 16 votes, but he did defeat Assemblywoman Tenney in the Reform Party. That puts him on the ballot in November. What is that going to mean? He leans a little more Republican, certainly more Republican than anything else. Does that split the vote for Claudia Tenney? Does that help Kim Myers?
Boy, that's a great question. I'll tell you, the first thought I had was I was curious, or I will be curious to see how his approach, if he continues to promote himself in his ads, or if he takes the approach that, for instance, the Wells campaign did, which was to attack Claudia Tenney. I know Kim Myers is in there, but I don't see any, like the vote being split between Tenney and Myers. Obviously, if you're Democrat or if you're liberal, you're going to vote that way. If you're Republican or conservative, you're going to vote a different way. But it's interesting to see if it will be split between Babnick and Tenney, and what his approach will be and what her approach will be.
Yeah, and do keep in mind that this is a completely different race now, being that it is now a general. The number of people that voted in the primary is relatively small compared to what we're going to be looking at in the general. And keep in mind, this general includes a presidential run, unlike 2014. So you're going to be seeing big turnout. And Trump, who was expected to do very, very well in this congressional district, a lot of Trump supporters will be out. The numbers are going to be really, really big come November. Speaking of numbers, did you see the numbers in Herkimer County? I thought this was interesting because it is one of her, that's part of her assembly district, the assemblywoman. But there are 14,325 registered Republicans. 1,874 voted last Tuesday. 1,800 voted. That's half of the number of Republicans that voted in the primary back in 2014 when it was Assemblywoman Tenney versus Richard Hanna. Surprised by that number?
I really am, because this was very contested. I know last 2 years ago it was as well. But to see half of the voters decide not to come out, I'm just baffled as to what that means. Did they think for sure Tenney would win? Do they not care anymore who wins?
Are they disgusted? Were
Right.
there just so many negative ads? People said, I'm done. Or is it just the fact that it was a nice day or it was a rainy day? If you remember, we had plenty of storms that day.
Yeah.
Is that what drove the numbers down? But that Herkimer County number I thought was really, really small. And I would say telling, but I'm not sure what it means. Really not sure what it means. A few other stories we worked on earlier today. I cannot get over the magic trick story, which is just incredible when you think about it. I mean, we've all seen it, and I think we've had I think the last one to do it in the studio was Leon and Rami, right? Mm-hmm. It's the old nail trick where you have the styrofoam cup, and then you smash your hand down. And I remember once doing it, and it was Jim Carroll, that the amazing psychic madman, whatever he was. But Jim Carroll actually took my hand and smashed it down on the styrofoam cup, and the nail wasn't there. It was over. It was somewhere else. Okay, but in this case, on this Polish television program, the nail was in the wrong place. And the woman who's a host on the TV show that this was actually being broadcast live on had her hand impaled by a huge nail. Now, you won't be able to understand the language, but there are a few words that you'll be able to figure out, even though they're kind of in Polish. Listen to this.
W taki oto sposób rozwalamy po kolei.
Że jedna dziurka.
Zrobimy na 3, dobrze? Uważaj.
Raz, dwa.
Kurwa, przepraszam. Przybiłem ci rękę. Naprawdę, przybiłem mi rękę. Przepraszam.
Ała, to bolało.
Słuchajcie, nie...
To bolało, ała.
Błagam was, niech to się nie dzieje naprawdę, niech to będzie tylko i wyłącznie...
Ała,
Chodź.
ała.
Awa. Can somebody look that up on Google Translate? Awa. I have a feeling it means ouch or something to that effect.
We have a host of a Polish show Sundays
yeah.
on IBX may be able to weigh in on.
MC George Shea
Translation.
started off the contest, the big one. That's the hot dog eating contest yesterday. I know this isn't news, but it is. Joey Chestnut winning by eating 70 hot dogs and buns in how many minutes? 10 minutes, I
10
think
minutes,
it is.
yeah.
It's unbelievable. Here's some audio.
All hands on deck, batten down the hatches, belly up to the bar, do it to it, feel the burn. Fire in the hole, hold the phone, go big or go home. Game on, game day, game face.
I've heard enough of that. Joey Chestnut set the record. Here he is being announced as the world record holder.
Last year, Matt beat Joey Chestnut and knocked him down. And he came back stronger than I have ever seen before. With 70 Nathan's famous hot dogs and buns, a Coney Island record, former 8-time champion of the world, the once and future king, Joey Chestnut!
I got to say one thing. First of all, eating that many hot dogs in 10 minutes, just eating that many hot dogs, period, is a major,
In a month.
It really is a major feat. But what I thought interesting out of that whole thing was that someone was so passionate about this contest that they let out a boo when he was announced. Okay,
that guy lost his mortgage.
Apparently, somebody did place some big bets there. All right, gotta go. Enjoy your day. Back tomorrow on WIBX.